Welcome to the Win, Make, Give podcast. Chad Hyams here, Bob Stewart over there. Bob, how you doing today?
Well, we have a guest, Chad. We'll bring him on in just a little bit and introduce him. But I got to tell you, he's making me a little bit jealous because he's sitting where my next vacation is planned for. And so it's like a glimpse into my future in like 7 weeks.
Where are you going, Bob?
I'm going to Cabo. I'm going to Cabo. When the boys get out of school, we're going to head down to Cabo. We haven't been for a little while. We tend to be once a year. We try to get down there because we love it down there. But it's been a couple years. So, yeah, Cabo, Chad.
Okay, and Bob, on the subject of vacations and travel, what have you done since the Carousel Ring episode to move yourself closer to attending the Kentucky Derby next year?
So I've enlisted. I have 2 friends already that are signed up. They're on board. My next step is to impose for some friends of mine down in the area to figure out what the ticket situation and like I don't just want to go and have a miserable time sitting out with a million other people where it's like you got to wait in a long line for the bathroom. Like I need to be like up in a booth somewhere in like a private bathroom. Like, so my next step is to start imposing on friends I know that might be able to help me pull that off.
His name is Ben Kinney. If you are in the Kentucky area and want to assist Bob in his Kentucky Derby dream and Carousel Ring moment of 2027, reach out to him.
Well, I tell you, so Chad, I have a friend I went to high school with who lives this ridiculous life, like a life where you're just like, what, this guy, like, what? He's owned a Kentucky Derby horse. He's owned multiple Kentucky Derby. Yeah. He's like, and so he's going to be my first ask.
When are you going to do it, Bob?
Well, I'm not sure.
We're putting some responsibility on it right now. When are you going to do it, Bob?
Don't put me on the spot here. We'll keep asking though, Chad. The reason I made the first 2 people go with me is because the last time I talked to you, I think, or I don't remember when you were like, what did you do? And I'm like, all right. So like literally that day when I got off. So maybe today when I get off here with you, I'll go hit up my boy Willie.
There you go. And the reason I brought it up, Bob, is because one of our audience members messaged me about how powerful they thought that episode was. And I want to bring it back to everyone's attention, folks. If you haven't checked out our episode called Carousel Rings, scroll back up a few. Now, Bob, I'm saying that to say this. If we're going to live the life that we talked about in that Carousel Ring episode and forgetting the bucket list crap because we don't know how long we have to live, we're going to put that stuff off. I figured we need to bring someone who's going to talk to us about some health because we do talk health, wealth, leadership, and legacy, and we need the bookend pieces of that.
Wait a minute. Hold on.
I've let you off too long without a health episode, Bob Stewart.
So when I was doing some research on this guy, like our audience knows Mike, and we'll introduce Mike here in just a second. Our audience knows that like when Chad does a health episode, I skip.
Right.
And so when I was doing the research on you, I see that you'd built like a learning, like you have a background where you'd built kind of this learning-based program, and I thought we were going to be going in that direction, but you got me good, Chad.
I got you. Yeah,
I was like, Chad, what are we going to be talking about today? And he was like, don't worry, it's going to be awesome. And he wow. Okay.
I set you up. We're going to talk about, folks, and you want to hear this, aging, right? Fatigue, brain fog, all that stuff that you need to understand to be living your best possible life is going to be covered today. Bob's already mentioned that Mike is in Cabo, so let's just bring Mike to Win, Make, Give. Mike, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thanks, guys, and I love the banter. I'm going to call you Bougie Bob from now on because we need that skybox. So go tell Willie you need that skybox.
All right. Hey, I'll take it. Listen, I've sat I've sat with the peanuts and hot dog crowd my entire life. I just That's time beautiful. If I'm going to go to the Derby and it's like bucket list, like I want to.
Yeah, you got to do it.
All right, Mike, we don't read bios. They might have figured out a little bit about you from what we got to. We want you to introduce yourself as you want the audience to know who Mike is. Tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, so had a 10-year overnight success on YouTube. We have the #2 YouTube channel in the nation to help nursing students pass nursing school. It's likened to the Cliff Notes, but a video streaming version. So one video of 8 minutes will wrap up an entire hour of textbook reading. So after doing 5,000 videos of that, I have my master's in medical education. and scaling that up to a multi-million-dollar business. Ended up exiting that about 2 years ago, and have just been fascinated about the science and longevity space since I hit my mid-30s. And I'm like, I'm not getting any younger. And Bob, you're going to want to hear this, man, because we're on the cusp right now, dude, of AI meeting age reversal or stopping aging entirely. And it's an insane place to be as a human being, because from the eons of time, this is the first time in ever in history that Dr. David Sinclair from Harvard, Harvard scientist that has been studying and researching NAD for a long time, which is the longevity molecule that keeps us alive. It basically just keeps your whole body intact as we get older. But now he's going into clinical trials for the first time ever. You guys can go on YouTube or TikTok that has like really short bites. But he's saying that in 6 weeks, a 6-week protocol, they're able to stop or reverse aging by 75%. And they're going into clinical trials for that right now. So that's crazy. All that to say is that I've done extensive research in the top 4 horsemen of anti-aging, if you will. And what we can touch on today is everything about peptides. NAD is number 2, glutathione, as well as stem cells. So we can talk about the lowest hanging fruits, but to give your audience some just rapid education, which I know a thing or two about from being on YouTube for so long, is that the reason why we age is not because, we're getting older and, it's not just like, things are falling apart. It's that you have a systematic failure of metabolic dysfunction. So the entire cell itself, things are declining. So hormones decline at a certain age. We're talking testosterone, estrogen, everything just starts to dip at around 25, but it really starts to accelerate mid-30s and 40s. Then you're dropping off a cliff.
Whoa. Don't bash us 50-plussers.
You're already at the bottom of the cliff, Chad. Like you're laying down on the ground and you're falling off the cliff.
Station from my Yellowstone fans. They've pushed me down to the train station there. All right.
Yeah, is your demographic or your listeners mostly in their 30s, 40s, 50s?
They're all over the place.
But yes, yeah. It's not like they're in their teens or early 20s generally, and my mom and Chad's mom are most of our listeners, and they're probably in there a little bit later. But yeah, that would be the core demographic is people that are starting to experience what you're talking about.
No, yeah, of course. And so I'm all about how do we get to A to B in the quickest, most efficient way possible. And so, obviously, you can boost NAD with exercise and fasting and things like that, which are great. But the reason that I'm so fascinated about NAD is because Dr. David Sinclair from Harvard did a 10-year case study researching 2 molecules called NMN and resveratrol that have given together. They were doing oral supplements. His study was in mice, and the equivalent of a 60-year-old mice was outrunning. Actually, broke the machine. An equivalent to a 20-year-old mouse. And so that's what really fascinated me in his book Lifespan. And so I started about 2 years ago when I was still making all these YouTube videos for nursing students. I just got fascinated about the science. I'm like, well, if I can technically, stop or reverse my biological age, even though I am, 38 and gonna be 39, every time I do like a blood test, I'm consistently like 7 years younger. And I was like, okay, how did we get there? So I started mixing stuff based on a lot of big podcasters. We're talking Dr. Huberman, if you guys are familiar with him, Ben Greenfield, Dave Asprey, the Bulletproof Coffee guy. And my brother and I started really geeking out about this. My brother's a firefighter, and he has like an entire, like his backyard is like probably $50,000 worth of stuff. We're talking like barrel sauna, red light therapy, cold plunge, like all the 9 yards. And instead of just like
slow down, Chad's getting like really excited over there. I don't know if you can see him. Like, okay, keep going.
Yeah. Listen up, Bob. Take some notes, brother. So, I mean, it's annoying, bro. It's so annoying to have like if your friends geek out about this stuff, which Chad, you probably do. It's like you get like 50 podcasts, and Dr. Huberman's podcasts are like 2 hours long. I'm like, what the hell? I'm not getting like masters in neuroscience or whatever. So my opportunity was okay. It started with a very simple case study. I'm like, okay, out of all these podcasts, everyone recommends do this, do this, do this, do this. So what I did is I got together a spreadsheet and I put down like every single thing that everyone ever recommended. I ended up with like 50 supplements. And really the first part of the day was like, okay, Dr. Huberman says salt and sunlight in the morning. Sunlight will help to reset your circadian rhythm so that you can get better sleep, better rest. But the salt actually helps to it helps your adrenal glands, which respond to stress. Your adrenals sit on top of your kidneys, and if you don't give enough salt, or if you hit your body with a bunch of caffeine in the morning, which Bob, you got to confess, do you just drink the coffee in the morning immediately? There it is.
Bob's hiding his coffee mug for all of you who can't see at home.
Yeah. So, yeah,
guilty.
To keep it short and reel it in, it's just Dr. Huberman recommends, delay your coffee in the morning for about 90 minutes to give your adrenal glands enough time just to reboot itself in the morning instead of sucker punching it right in the morning. So he recommends salt and sunlight. Doctor,
how much sunlight? Like, do I need to go out and like? Because I'm in Seattle, by the way. Like, where?
Yeah.
So
like,
he recommends clouds, no big deal.
Even if it's overcast, as long as you get some type of sunlight in your eyes for about 20 minutes, he recommends.
Okay.
And then Dave Asprey was talking about, hey, you should be doing, and also Ben Greenfield, like, hey, you should be doing creatine as well, not for the muscles, but actually for the brain. Dr. David Sinclair, with his book Lifespan, the Harvard guy, it was like NMN and resveratrol will boost NAD in the body. And so I'm like, okay, I'm putting all this together. I'm like, well, what if I buy all this crap off Amazon and then start mixing it, and just putting it into like little baggies for me, which honestly looks like illicit drugs when I travel. Or at least it did. Like little baggies of like, what is it? Electrolytes, all the 5 things that
baggies of white powder in Mike's, in Mike's carry-on. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I started taking that. And I'm like, okay, this is all the things I need to do in just one simple, baggie of white powder, this one simple drink. And after I exited the YouTube space, my brother, who's the firefighter, he's like, dude, he's seeing my success. He's like, man, we should, make a supplement company. I'm like, I have no bleeping clue how to do supplements. I don't even want to do it. I'm a digital marketer guy and I'm an educator and I'm just doing this for myself. So long story short, it's like, all right, fine. We'll actually do the first batch of like a minimum order, which I believe was like 2,000 bags. I'm like, dude, what are we going to do with like 2,000 bags? But we ended up selling out in about 6 to 8 weeks. And the weird part is,
was this on the back of the power of like your digital marketing expertise? And you were like, or this is just
really
like friends and family and word of mouth, or?
Yeah, it was like, I have a decent following on my Instagram from all the nursing students that are now nurses that follow me. But there's like 30,000 followers. But it was mostly through word of mouth.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, we're sitting on like, 2,000, 2,000 bags of this product, which now we call Ageless Cocktail. But I'm like, hey, if no one takes it, we're just going to drink it and stuff. So the tipping point was, it wasn't really until my mom, who's in her 60s, she gets facials all the time at an esthetician spot and, takes care of herself, but, Botox and things like that. But she sees her every month. And about 6 weeks into it, her esthetician's like, what are you doing different to your face? Have you done like, any PRP or any injections or anything like that? She's like, nothing really. I'm just taking, they're kind of going through the list. And she's like, well, my boys have me on this like, NAD drink. And she's like, well, that's probably it. So overnight, we actually ended up in about 5 med spas. And we're just giving educational workshops to them because the science makes a lot of sense if you think about it. As we age, your longevity molecule, it's basically kind of the glue keeping everything together inside your cell. If that glue is declining, which is a massive drop off after like 40 and 50, and she's in her 60s now. So if you spike that up a little bit, the fastest cells to turn over in the body are the skin cells. That's why when you have a chemotherapy patient, they lose, their hair, but also like their skin gets impacted very quickly. So obviously, if you, increase the glue that's keeping everything together, you're going to see it first in your hair, skin, and nails. And so a lot of people are using it as like a beauty product now, even though it gives people energy and it's basically the entire backbone and building block of longevity, if you will. It's like the lowest hanging fruit. You can also do like, NAD injections and IV, but
hang on. We are not, Bob and I are not doctors in that sense. So we're going to, right. So folks, right. We're going to tell you, we're going to throw the disclaimer in there that do your research, do your homework with the stuff Mike's talking to you about. You can always go to getlongevityfarms.shop. That's the website to go to be able to see the products, learn a little bit more. before we dive deeper into the impacts and not necessarily the science, everybody, they can't pronounce 90%. I can't pronounce 90% of the
I'm
words.
looking up. I looked up NAD. I can't.
Nicotinamide riboside.
Yeah. I'm
Don't
going to sound
attempt
like
to
Trump
pronounce it,
over
Bob.
here trying to pronounce
It
the
doesn't hurt.
NAD. Please.
One of the things you said in there, Mike, I want to go back to your brother's backyard, I think is where you said it.
Oh yeah, that really turned you on right there. Yeah.
Well, no, it actually didn't.
That's where he got the most excited when you said he's got $50,000 worth of workout equipment in the backyard.
No, that's not what he said. Because he talked about these products that I really believe are fads. And I want to know your thoughts because our audience is out there hearing about cold plunge and, oh my gosh, if I cold plunge. No, if you cold plunge, you're getting cold, okay? And infrared saunas. And now we've got all these red light therapy things I'm supposed to put on my face and all that stuff. Talk to me for a second about the fad items that for a year or two, everybody buzzes about, spends their money on, and then it sits in your backyard unused because it's too cold to get into or too hot to sit in. Talk about that stuff. Does it really work? How? Why should we pass on that stuff and find better things like the supplements for ourselves?
No, that's amazing. Those are really good questions. I mean, to really break it down to brass tacks and to cut out all the fluff, the 4 horsemen, right? The cold plunge, saunas, red lights, maybe even like PMF mats, if you guys even know about that. But
that's the grounding mats.
Which I can explain. How Gary Brecka from he used to be with 10X Health, if you guys are familiar with Gary Brecka. But all of this is really based upon clinicians that we've heard like all of their research on the Joe Rogan podcast and all their podcasts. So to make it really simple, the biggest fad I believe is cold plunge. Because if your listeners are really thinking about this, all you really want is to decrease inflammation and increase immunity. That is how you live longer. Because with high inflammation, your body's just like, exploding. It's almost like an old car that's getting even more rusty. So with cold plunges don't necessarily extend life. What cold plunges really do, the science behind it, is that they do a number of things. The main thing that they do is that it increases brown fat activation, which helps your body burn more fat. The biggest thing mentally is that it increases catecholamines in the body, basically the happy neurotransmitters that epinephrine, norepinephrine, and dopamine, which actually will make you feel better. So that's why Gary Brecka always talks about, hey, if you're depressed, go in a cold plunge, you'll feel a lot better. Does it extend life? Not really. But does saunas, the number 2 spot, extend life? For sure. So Dr. Rhonda Patrick, who was featured on the Joe Rogan podcast, talks extensively about mitochondrial health, which mitochondria are the little energy centers inside the cell. So about what does she recommend? I think it was like 3 to 4 days a week for about 40 minutes. And it has to be at around 170 plus, she recommends, off the top of my head, I believe. So, but research that. But anyways, long story short is that saunas increase, your basal metabolic rate. The really big thing that they do is that it increases autophagy, which is just fancy words for it cleans up and kills dead cells. So if you can imagine like an entire community of cells, they call these lunescent cells or zombie cells, or like 30% of your cells as we age. And it's from all the free radical damage, basically inflammation, the smoking, the drinking, the stress, the pollutants, all the microplastics, all the fluoride in the water, making the frogs weird, everything. That was an Alex Jones quote. But so it's all the toxins. Now, now the craziest part is that my brother's a firefighter. They're putting saunas inside fire departments now. And it's because you're exposed to so many carcinogens and smoke. And so they're saying, the theory is, and Dr. Rhonda Patrick talks about this a lot on the Rogan podcast, saying that, if you're able to kill these 30% of cells that are causing problems, then you most likely won't have cancer, which is huge for, firefighters. And so there's studies being done right now about that. You can also do the same thing in the same way with fasting. So intermittent fasting, or doing a 24-hour fast once a week, or Dr. Rhonda Patrick recommends a 3-day fast once a year. Because after about 3 days, you're really doing damage and starving out the old cells that will eventually cause problems like cancer, for example. I'll pause there, and then we'll go into red light if you guys want.
I want, yeah. Okay. So here's what I'm hearing, and here's what I want to reiterate, folks. Stay out of the freaking cold ice bucket. Go get yourself a sauna, right?
Yeah,
Hot
yeah,
is better than cold. And so
yeah.
many people think, oh, I should jump in this thing. Yes, there are benefits to it. Yet if health is truly hot is going to be better than cold. Now, what
All
about
day.
these red light things? Everybody's ordering these masks on their face that make
Yeah.
them weird. My wife's sitting there right now, probably with this one wrapped around her midsection, right? That's on her belly and stuff. What is it with the red light therapy things? And are they the fad of 2026?
Yeah. It depends on what you're solving for, right? So if you're solving to look good and look sexy and amazing as we age, then yeah, red light is great. But the problem with red light is you have to be very consistent. And it's like everything else. Red light is going from the outside in. And so that's why for all your listeners, if you really want to attack it at the root level, like an internal facelift, NAD is the way to go. Plug in my product, no shame. No, but in any type of NAD, but with red light specifically. So red lights, what they do, but you have to get the right type of red light. They just basically
Like
increase
not the one for
elasticity.
$13.50 on Amazon. Is that what you're saying? Like we
Yeah,
don't
exactly.
want the
Yeah.
discount. Yeah. I mean, those things are everywhere. If you go on
Yeah.
Amazon, there's a million of them.
Oh, yeah, so many. And that's the hardest part. So that's why I always say, do your research, use ChatGPT, ask what is the best one? I have a platinum LED one that apparently is like med spa standard. But what it really does is it increases collagen. It increases the elasticity of the skin, so making it more buoyant and smoother, like we're known to have when we're young. But the most interesting part that red light does, that Gary Brecka talks about, is a fascinating episode with Joe Rogan talking about oxygen, magnetism, and light. So with the last part, light, is that red light. I believe he was talking about how red light basically helps your red blood cells to be more attracted to oxygen. So they always say that with high oxygen, you have an absence or a diminished chance of disease. So that's why Gary Breck always talks about the PEMF mats, or the grounding mats. What that really does is it separates your red blood cells. So imagine your red blood cells as being like little clusters. If you separate them, like you're separating coins, you have more surface area to add oxygen. Then he recommends doing, what he recommends is like having a 900-liter oxygen tank. It's freaking massive. You guys can Google it. It's crazy. We actually have one in our house. That's what makes my brother's backyard so expensive. And you're breathing in oxygen like at high rates to saturate that red blood cell. And then finally, you're sealing it all in with the red light itself. So, long story short, red light alone, if you want to look good, look sexy, fantastic. But that's just one piece of the puzzle. So, yeah.
All right. So here's what we got, Bob. All that stuff, maybe, right? You got to really do your research. You got to put it together. It's not just one's going to work, right? Cold plunges might be the talk. Infrared saunas were the phase for a while. What's working, what's not working? Here's what we know. A little salt in your world earlier, a little caffeine a little later, and some sunlight as soon as it rises in your area is definitely going to move us in the right direction. Is that what I'm hearing, Mike? I lost Mike. Mike's audio.
He got muted. So
My bad. I got muted myself.
He muted himself.
No editing here. Yeah. No, I was going to say exactly. You hit it on the nail on the head here, because for all your listeners, you don't have to spend thousands of dollars. We dropped $5,000 on our cold plunge, and now we actually just got rid of it. And then most red light therapies that are actually decent, that actually do anything, are like $4,000 plus. So at the end of the day, you don't need to be doing all that. Honestly, just making sure that your routine, what you do every single day, incrementally. For example, like you said, salt and sunlight in the morning. NAD will be just like a sucker punch. It's like the easiest thing you can do. As well as, sauna. If those are the three things that you do, yeah. And then we can talk about peptides, which are amazing. But if those are the three things that you do, I think everyone would be like way ahead of the curve.
Mike, can I? So these were like addition things. Give me a few subtraction things that people should like. Is it sugar? Like, what am I subtracting? That's gonna.
Yeah.
that's going to help me live longer? And there's probably a million things, right? But like, what are maybe one or two that are the most common ones that, you know, the vast majority of us are slamming in our face
Man, yeah. Brian Johnson, if you guys are familiar with him.
Yeah, he's the guy that's like he's trying to live forever guy, right?
That guy's crazy. He spends $2 million a year, every year on his health. Employs a doctor for every organ. Wild. But his biggest thing is that if it comes in a package, don't consume it or consume it sparingly. So have like whole foods, because all the processed seed oils and BS just destroys your hormones and causes massive inflammation. So if you whittle it down, it's just increased inflammation, decreased immunity, right? So that's obviously a big one. So processed foods. Another big one is, you know, the normal stuff, right? Drinking and smoking in moderation. So subtracting those out of your life. And then the weirdest part that's really hard for me is getting consistent bedtimes. So your body naturally repairs and naturally resets on consistent bedtimes. That's why a lot of people, they're like, you know, 9 to 5s, they don't want to work like a normal 9 to 5 job. But honestly, 9 to 5s and even having kids, they help you with that consistent bedtime. And
that's
so
been my experience in life. Like before I had kids, man, I'm sometimes 11, the next day it's 2 a.m. Then it's, you know, I'm tired now, it's 10, and then it's 3. Like I have a pretty consistent bedtime and get up time with the boys now.
And then, and then if you throw in, you know, intermittent fasting, just don't eat until, you know, noon, and your body will adapt to that because your stomach is kind of like a muscle where it'll stretch and then it'll contract, which will kind of suck for the first few weeks, or at least the first 2. But your body will get used to it. So it's these little incremental things that we can do that'll make the world a difference. You don't have to do, you know, spend thousands of dollars, you know, on crazy things. So yeah.
Why, given what we're starting to learn, have we not seen like a more rapid ascension in how long people live?
I think honestly, there's a few things I believe. I think number one, we're too early on it. Because I mean, I think it has been historically pretty slow. No one really started working out consistently until like, you know, I think like the 80s, 90s. Now it's normal. Yeah. Yeah. Even before that was Jack LaLanne, but that was back in the 60s or whatever. The problem now though, is that everyone back in like, you know, I believe before the 50s or 60s, there was not a bunch of crap in our food. There was not all these plastics and PMF or whatever they call it, EPFs, or I forget the name. Basically all those chemicals that leach into our foods.
Which is why life in the EU is longer than life in America, because they're not putting that stuff in their food still.
Yeah, to think about just putting a bunch of garbage in your or cement inside of your, you know, your washing machine, you know, that's going to cause so much inflammation, so much stress. And there's 30, just like Chad was saying, there's 30 chemicals inside foods in America that are allowed, that are not allowed in the EU. Even something as crazy as Fireball whiskey. There was a chemical that we use that is related to antifreeze. That's not even allowed in the European Union or Canada.
Let's drink antifreeze. Do not do this if you are listening. I'm being very clear on that.
I think Fireball came out in my late 20s. I definitely drank some antifreeze. I mean, I don't do that anymore.
So much. I did so much of that.
Right.
But the good news is that you can kind of reverse that damage, right? So imagine like you just messed up your body. Do a fast, you know? You can kill off a lot of these zombie cells, you know, that will eventually cause problems. You know,
talk about that a little bit more, Mike, because fasting gets, you know, intermittent fasting. Do I just fast for a few hours? Do I fast for a few days? Mm-hmm. Where would you tell our people if they want to do a purge on their system? What does fasting look like? My coach always said to me, look, intermittent fasting saves you 300 calories a day because you tell yourself to stop eating at 6 o'clock or whatever, and you don't grab that evening snack, yet it's not doing that much for you otherwise. How long a fast do I need to take on to really start to see any benefits?
Yeah, so that coach is correct, but also massively incorrect, because how many calories does, you know, a methamphetamine or, you know, illicit drug, like how many calories does weed have, you know? It's like not really the calories, it's not apples to apples. So I always like to base everything off of evidence from an expert in the field. So Dr. Rhonda Patrick, if your listeners want to, you know, proof check this, I would definitely recommend it. Just throw that into ChatGPT and get all the list of the benefits of fasting. But from listening to her for many years, the biggest benefit of fasting, like we talked about, is not the calorie intake, or you're going to lose body fat, which is a side effect. That's why people do it. But really, the biggest benefit is to decrease these zombie cells, these luminescent cells that will cause problems in the future. So
Mike,
imagine
is there a
if
term for this? Like the cells start to kind of eat themselves, or what is there a term around
autophagy.
this?
It's called autophagy.
Autophagy, yeah.
Yeah. So you're basically, killing them off, starving them out. And it's kind of like you're getting, if you have like a baseball team, you're getting off all the the losers off your team, and you only have champions. And so now you're replicating those champions in the future.
That's
and
why
so,
all my Mariners leave and they go to the freaking Yankees. I just got a bunch of all the. Oh wait, that's the opposite. All the winners.
Yeah, you
are
got the
leaving. I'm
zombie
left with the
cells.
losers.
You got the zombie cells, man. You got to start putting on. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, sorry.
So now you're not going to see all the zombies leaving off of intermittent fasting alone, according to Dr. Rhonda Patrick. The biggest benefit, like we mentioned before, is anywhere over 48-hour or a 3-day fast.
Right.
Only she recommends about once a year. I was doing once a month, which was super difficult for me. Man, you're feeling like crap for the first 36 hours, or at least 24 to 36. You feel like you're going to be dying. So that's why if any listeners doing it, I would definitely research it first, according to Dr. Rhonda Patrick. But the biggest thing you could do is drink pickle juice or drink salt, because that really helps to activate cells. And a little side note here, if your listeners love caffeine like me and was doing 7 cups a day, caffeine has a big diminishing returns. I would definitely swap it out for just a little thing of salt, like the size of your thumb, in your palm. And if you just lick the salt, drink some water in the afternoon when you get that afternoon lull, it does wonders for your energy levels. But to recap here, to get the best benefits, I'd always love intermittent fasting just because it's so efficient for time. It definitely decreases calories. But if the ultimate goal is to decrease inflammation, live longer, create champions inside your body that will boost your metabolic rate, and all you're doing is, replicating champions, then you should be doing a 2 to 3 day fast at least once a year. So, yeah.
You're hearing it from a guy with lots of energy, folks, right? He's got something going on right with all the energy that he's going. He's not just turning it on for the podcast. You can tell if you were talking with him before too. Bob, you look like you got a question.
Well, I wrote down, I think he called them the 4 horsemen of the aging apocalypse, or I don't know exactly how you, peptides, NAD. What was the third one? All I got written down was gluto. I know there was more to that word.
Yeah. So glutathione is a really big one. Glutathione is the reason why we get hangovers.
I don't know how to spell the rest of that word. Thion, Thion, like what?
Nobody's going to check your spelling, Bob.
Okay.
Good job, Bob.
Got it. Okay, glutathione. Talk to me about glutathione for a little bit. What did you just say? It comes from what? Or that's why I get a hangover?
Yeah, can you use it in a sentence, please? What's the root of origin? No. Okay. So glutathione it's naturally created in the body, just like NAD, but it's one of the reasons that we age. Glutathione, not so much aging, but detoxing the body. And so if you don't detox your body, you're going to keep a lot of that inflammation inside your body, which wreaks havoc and just deteriorates your car like rust, if you will. So glutathione naturally occurs in the body, but everything, just like everything else, starts dipping around 25. It's different in most people, but most of the population, a lot of your listeners will be like, my hangovers didn't start until, after 25 or after 30.
Oh, they're the worst. I mean, I don't get them anymore, but even into my late 30s, man, just occasionally I'd have one. Holy cow.
Yeah, and we don't even get that. We can mix all the alcohols together at early 20s, maybe 18, 19,
college,
whatever.
Man, I get up the next day, we're like, let's go.
Woo! That's because of all the glutathione that's made in the liver. So if your listeners can do an injection or a patch of glutathione, they also do oral administration, but it's 80% effective, even less than that with certain GI issues. But the long story short of that is that, glutathione will detox your body. So there's a really good company, I forget the name of it, but they have a biophoresis patch that will push glutathione into your body. It gives you massive energy, and now you can just go binge drinking and just not even have hangovers anymore.
Don't do that.
No. Although I should probably keep a glutathione patch for my next trip down to Mexico, because I do love a good margarita at the pool,
Oh, man. Yeah. If you just slam margaritas, or you can get an IV, which IVs are super popular these days. Just add glutathione. Sometimes you'll see it advertised as the anti-hangover cure or the hangover cure. And the biggest thing is they're, B vitamins which B vitamins help to break down alcohol, but glutathione is definitely in that IV. So those two alone are gonna.
What about stem cells? Like, I got to go to Germany and like find Kobe Bryant's doctor or something to like.
Yeah. No, yeah. So I actually just was in Colombia, Medellin, Colombia, at a place called Bioaccelerator that was talked about with Joe Rogan. And it's one of the leaders with MMA fighters. I think even Steve-O from Jackass was down there. But their stem cells are great. And this is actually based on, the science behind it all is where Dr. David Sinclair is going to be reversing aging entirely, which is wild. But if you can simply think about this, it's almost like a car, right? If your car starts breaking down, what makes a classic car a classic car? You're swapping out parts, right? And you're just keeping it pristine. So that's what basically stem cells do. They attach to old dead tissue. They can even form a mitochondrial bridge. So it's wild. They even see this like under the microscope, where this new cell is attaching to an old cell and just revitalizing it. So you can reverse inflammation or even damage. There was even a lady that had a stroke, couldn't even use her arm. And after a few rounds, she had like almost full function. People are standing out of wheelchairs, after spinal injuries, which is wild to me. And then, this is becoming more and more prevalent. So last point on this is that Dr. David Sinclair from Harvard is saying that there's a bunch of longevity genes that you can activate in the body, but it's really just resetting your body instead of making replicas of old cells, like making photocopies of a photocopy of a photocopy. It's going to be blurred. We can go back and replicate the original stem cell that's still in our body that our body can't have access to with his new protocol that is now going into like FDA research right now. So
help me understand though, why in the why do you have to go to Medellin, Colombia to do it versus, so there's just like they've lobbied to have this thing shut down. We're not doing that research in the US. Is that what?
The biggest thing, being on the other side of the curtain, being an ER nurse for like 7 years and being on the ambulance before that, I see it. And it's wild, man. It's like, the big pharma shuts a lot of things down. I've seen cures shelved, which is wild to me. I still believe we have the cure to cancer that has been violently suppressed.
I do too, by the way.
It's out there. We know it's out there.
Oh,
big
yeah, for sure.
Holding it down.
Yeah, so it's just a matter of time that, and we already see it, being leaked out. And I think AI is going to blow the top off it, where it's like, hey, here's all the information kind of thing. But yeah, that's basically it. Because if you can cure someone, there's no money in cures, right? There's only money in subscriptions and people paying all their, their prescriptions. And the same thing, like the biggest moneymaker in the hospital right now is the ORs. So if all of a sudden you can cure a knee without doing like, $40,000 surgery, where's all the money, So.
Yeah. Amen to that. We won't get any deeper in that, folks. We've been talking with Mike here, and
Chad doesn't like to get into the real good stuff. Wow,
the real good stuff.
Cut us
really? On the After Hours podcast.
I don't want to get on my soapbox about big pharma and all the things we're putting into our bodies instead because they're given. So I'm putting an end to that one, folks. Visit getlongevityfarms.shop. Okay, getlongevityfarms.shop. You can check out a lot of the stuff Mike was talking about here that he's got that's going to be available to you. Do your research on all of this. Mike, I'm going to put you on the spot. I'm going to give you 1 minute. Okay, You can go back and you can mention something we've talked about already to help our audience. You can mention something else that didn't come up. Yet I'm only giving you 1 minute as we come to the end of the episode here, folks, for a tip, trick, on longevity, on health in general, on whatever it is you want. The floor is yours for 1 minute.
Oh man, this is pretty tough. I'm gonna use 30 seconds just a compliment. No, I'm just kidding. So yeah, just
okay. You get 2 minutes. You get if you start with a compliment, you get 2 minutes.
Go for the skybox at the Kentucky Derby. Okay, so the first things first is just I think salt and sunlight in the morning, NMN, resveratrol to boost your NAD. It's all based on Harvard science. Those are the lowest hanging fruits. Then go into fasting. Try to do intermittent fasting. I'd recommend, again, 2 to 3 days of a fast per year. Kick the cold plunge. Go with the sauna. If you can commit to 4 days a week, that would be fantastic. Something we didn't even talk about was just exercise. Getting out and just honestly just walking is one of the most beneficial. You don't have to go ham in the gym. But one of the things we didn't touch on is peptides. And I made a 5-hour peptide course that we're launching on YouTube. I know peptides are getting super popular, and now we're affiliated with a what's it called? A holistic source that is third-party verified. And if you guys are interested in peptides, we have a lot of information at rejuvenatepeptides.com, which my brother and I started as well. So,
all right, rejuvenatepeptides.com. If you keep hearing the word and you're like, I want to know more about that, get longevityfarms.shop. If you're looking into some of the other stuff that Mike was talking about today. Mike, we really appreciate you keeping our people around, because the longer Bob can live, the more episodes of Win Make Give we can continue to bring.
Chad, I might show up to the next health one, man. This one was like, that's all pretty. I could do some of this stuff. Like, he was not like, you got to get up in the morning at 4 a.m. You got to do, and he said no cold plunge. I hate a cold shower, so good.
Yes.
So, like, Mike, we should invite Mike back. He seems very practical.
I'd love it.
We will invite Mike back. Until that time, folks, share this with someone who you want to see live a little bit longer. And until our next episode, as always, do good.